everybody. Welcome to this month's podcast. Today, we will be talking about balancing your work life schedule in terms of DECA and how we all manage that. So, to start us off, what does a typical day look like for an officer in your
So
shoes?
depending on the day, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I have class from 9 to 1. And then typically after that, I will go to work. But on Tuesdays, I only have class until from 12 to 1. So during the day, I'm doing homework or just cleaning my apartment or whatever. And then Thursdays, I don't have class. So typically I'll just do homework. And then if I work, I'll go to work. About it.
Okay, I'll go. So I have class only on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to noon. So after that, I am also an RA after at the school dorms here. So I kind of do RA work all day long. Otherwise I go to my serving job. And then on weekends we always kind of meet with our crew here. Typically on Sundays, and that's kind of my like a day, I guess.
Yeah, for me, like I have classes Tuesday and Thursday. So during the day, I try to work on my papers. I try to work on publishing some articles and also trying to help to coordinate like the community service and some volunteers activities that we do in my chapters. So that's usually what my day look like.
Yeah, for me, I have classes Monday through Thursday, and I'm also an officer for three student orgs on top of being an RA for the school as well. So for me, my time is pretty filled up, especially since I've been trying to continue my summer internship into the school year. So it's been really difficult to kind of manage my time, but overall, it's been more on the DECA and school side of things versus outside work for me. So, what are some challenges that you all have come across since becoming a state officer?
So I know all of us kind of have different time schedules. Like Sophia has like time commitments, and we all have different time commitments too. So one of the biggest things is definitely trying to meet as a group of four and with Jenny. Sometimes it gets hard just having to figure out a time frame that works for all of us. But I know like we've been figuring it out super easily. With Jenny and things like that. So we just kind of have to work together to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, scheduling the meetings can get kind of tough because we all have busy lives and busy schedules, but also just kind of like remembering all like the little stuff like we have on our program of work, checking that out frequently, making sure getting everything done that I need to, but just overall, just organization has been rough.
Yeah, for me, I think also it's like the scheduling, like for us to agree on the time we are going to have like our meeting when we are going to meet to do the podcast. So, but I believe that we are doing good. At least we come together, we agree on the time that fits to everyone's schedule, and that's like the toughest, like I can say the problem we come across, but I also like the way we come together to handle it to make it like accommodating to every official, every one of us.
Yeah, I fully agree with everybody else in terms of the scheduling aspect as well, especially since we're all individual people and we all have our own things going on in our lives. So it is pretty hard to schedule things where we can all talk and communicate together. But additionally to that, it's really just getting our work done on time too, because like I said, we are individuals and we've got our own stuff going on. And so sometimes things do slip our minds, and that's very common to have since I mean we are people and it does happen, but as officers, it does get a little bit more hard in terms of priorities. So, for our next question here, what are some tools that you guys use to help balance your work school life balance?
So one of my favorite things to do is always writing like a daily list of things I have to do and get done. Even if it's not just like daily, like say I have something due at the end of the week, I always write that every single day, so that I know when it's due. And like Sophia said, like we all have different commitments and things like that, so we have to be able to work together for all of those things. So I like writing notes, like knowing that we have a meeting today. That was on my list all week long. So I kind of kept it fresh on my mind.
Yeah, on my fridge, I have two whiteboards. I have a whole one that's just a calendar that I write in stuff. Like I wrote in our DECA meeting, work schedule, and then I have another little whiteboard that I write my kind of like to-do list for my apartment, and then I create another list for my homework. Um, I mean, for me, lists work best because I see what I have to do, and I visually can be like, okay, got this, 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 and then I just cross it off my list.
Yeah, I use my notes and also I use my calendars like to put out the deadlines and also the work I have on my decks. So those are the things that I use, like try to keep on track, like always try to get things done before the deadlines, like posting on social media and also like probably if I have to create flyers, if I have to send out an email, since I'm also like the president of my chapter. So like those kind of things, I always try to use my calendars and my notes to write down the things I have to achieve probably during the week or during the month. And it helps me a lot to keep track of my activities.
I also like to use my Outlook calendar a lot because it can help me color code and change like if I'm busy or I can use categories for everything that I put in there. So that's really nice in terms of visually putting down what I'm gonna do and when I'm gonna do it. But also I sometimes have the habit of writing things in permanent marker on my hand because if it's out of sight, out of mind, then I'm not going to do it. But if it's constantly in front of me, I'm definitely going to get it done. So I like writing things down on my hand sometimes. All right, guys. The next question is going to be more geared towards Ibuka and I because we are both on a chapter officer team as well as state officer team. So, how do you balance and delegate your duties, Ibuka?
So what I usually do, like we have our meetings once in a week every Friday. So I try to ask like probably the secretary and other officers team of my chapter to help me like in putting out the emails. Probably I'm going to draft the email and I will probably forward it to the secretary to help me to reduce the workload. And also like coming to the state level, I also like try to put that first. Like if we have events going on, if we have like any activities, I make sure that I got that done before every other thing. So like I can say like this the chapter officers team, they help me like to manage the workloads, and I also have to try to let everyone like to help me if there is something they can be able to do, maybe help me to create posters or help me like to put out the posters on the board or spread the news like if we have some events on campus. So and coming to the stage, I always like manage my social media, like make sure that I put things on time. So that's how I try to balance both my state and my chapter's role.
Yeah, I actually kind of had a tough time at first when maybe starting my officer position for the state and at the chapter level because for me it was kind of hard to delegate certain tasks because I knew some things about the state that maybe the chapter levels didn't know, or I was trying to tell our president at the chapter level things that he should be doing because we're doing X and X on the state level. And so it was something where I really had to take a step back and take an overview of everything that's going on for a chapter level and be like, okay, here's what his duties are, here's what my duties are. I took on the VP of marketing. And for me, it was really just I can't do everything for our chapter now. I have to leave it to everybody else and their own specific duties. And that was something that was kind of crazy to me because I like knowing everything and I like being a part of everything. But since I'm just a part of social media and marketing, it's hard to be a part of everything. And so for me, it was really just giving that boundary of, hey, I know you've got this problem, but right now that's not my specific duty. You'd be better off reaching out to this person instead, who's also on our officer team, the chapter level, just because I wanted to make sure that I was still prioritizing our state level officer team. And that's overall, that's why I took the marketing position anyways, because I wanted to make sure I had kind of a smaller workload on the chapter level, but to where I was still involved as an officer as well. So, lastly, what is one piece of advice you would all give to future officers if they were kind of concerned about how busy they would be in terms of being a state officer?
So, I am going to talk about both the chapter level officers and state level officers. Because I last year I was the vice president over at Alexandria Tech. And honestly, it is a lot of work. Like you do a lot of work. You plan things, you have to be involved. But that's what it's about. And you get to learn so much more about DECA than just being a member. And so I think that's super cool. Um, and it is a time commitment, but when you talk to your other members or team members, it helps you out a lot because you get to delegate different tasks and figure out how to do it without taking the entire team and just putting all the work on yourself. And I think that goes for the state team too. We all kind of do our separate things. So we all each have one social media. And so we kind of all just do our own. And then we also like Jenny's super helpful when it comes to time. She knows that we're super busy. And so she helps us out with that too. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like last year when Courtney and I were officers together at Alexandria, we had a lot of communication between us, just saying, "Hey, do you want help with this? Hey, what can I do? What would you like us to do?" I mean, our last year was a little rough. Me and Courtney, we definitely did a lot for our chapter, but you gotta do what you gotta do. But creating like lists, like I said, for me, keeping a calendar, keeping everything organized, checking things frequently, making sure that I'm reaching the goals that I need to reach, and just communicate with my team.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm gonna say like, if you're planning to become a state officer or a chapter officer, like one thing you should do is try to get to know the people, the members of your team who you are going to work with, and try to build a strong relationship with them, like we do. Because I can believe like our relationship is stronger. Like we have to talk on like mostly uh every week or sometimes when we have like a big task we have to accomplish, like we always try to bring our ideas together. We have to make sure that everybody is on the same page. And, like you have to always communicate, try to ask for help. If there is something you are having difficulty, something you are not sure about, always try to ask people that you are working with. They can have like one or two ideas they can provide for you, which is going to help you to achieve whatever you guys are working on. And also, I think one of the other thing is like having your calendars, having your list, like your to-do list, the things you have to do, put down the things you have to do, the time you have to accomplish that, and have your officers team help you work towards that. I think that's going to help you to release a lot of stress because when you work together, like it's gonna be fun and reduce the stress for each of every one of you.
I think for me, my advice would be that the experiences of being a state or chapter officer really outweigh any worries that a person may have. And really just you create this family. I mean, the four of us, we've spent so much time together and we've only been officers with each other for a few months here, but we are so connected on a level because of the experiences that we've had so far. And we haven't even hosted a conference together yet. So it's pretty fun in terms of the experiences that you get to have and create, but also you get to meet so many people because I can definitely say I did not know Courtney, Abby, or Abuka before becoming an officer team with them. But also since becoming an officer, I've met so many more individuals from other chapters as well. There's tons of people from Courtney and Abby's school that I've met that I've talked to, and I now know where if I'm at a conference and I see them, I'm probably going to go up and say hi. Same with some other chapters across the state. So it's really nice to just be able to have those experiences and meet those people because at the end of the day, those experiences are what's really going to stay with you versus, oh my gosh, am I going to have time to do it? Because even if you have 2 hours to yourself every day, that's still, if you're happy with the experiences that you have for the other however many hours you're awake for, I feel like that's a win in my book. If you're, as long as you're happy and you're having great experiences, then worrying is not going to be as much of a big deal if you're just, taking care of yourself while you're doing it. So that is today's podcast. It was a bit of a shorter one, everybody, but still super fun, still lots of information. So I'm sure we all hope that you have a good rest of your day, and we will see you next month, and we will see you at Engage this week.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.